over the weekend was mixed to disappointing, especially retail sales and industrial output. Is this an anomaly or confirmation the recovery there is not entrenched?
Perhaps the first point I would like to make is that because of the different timing of the Chinese New Year, we had a bit of a distortion in the data. That's one point, but I would agree that overall we would have expected the data to be a bit stronger. Then again, if you look at the structure of the numbers we saw, I think it's very clear that the very early cyclical indicators, property for example, exports for that matter, those have been strong, whereas the ones that typically lag a bit, such as consumer data, that has been a bit weaker. So at this point of the recovery, I don't think it has to be too concerning. And as far as industrial production is concerned, we think that the fact that some of the construction data was stronger than the industrial production also hints to the fact that some destocking has gone on. So we'll probably have to wait for March to get somewhat cleaner data without any disruptions. But so far, I do not think it is an extremely strong disappointment.
With inflation high and potential asset bubbles in some areas, Chinese policymakers are in a difficult position. What do you expect their next moves to be?
As far as inflation is concerned in general, we do expect it to inch up to 3.5% throughout the rest of the year. So those are still not numbers that compared to previous cycle would be extremely concerning. But maybe we have already seen a bit of measures here. What we noticed was especially in the non-bank financing side, the credit side of things, it seems that the pace here is cooling down. And that, on the one hand, puts growth maybe a bit on a lower level, but it also puts it on a much more sustainable path. We're starting to look at these numbers more from a risk perspective, and if these numbers are not cooled down at the pace, especially in the trust side, in the trust area, if that pace is cooled down, we think that is probably a healthy and early development that also prevents shock therapies, shock tightening later in the year, so we prefer a much more gradual path.
So where do you think China will be heading this year?
Well, until the middle of the year, probably still accelerating. And then China's potential growth has also moderated a bit over the last couple of years, probably level out at around 8%. And we also believe this is about the speed we can expect for 2014 and would be a healthy one to begin with.